Dearly redheaded, we are choosing consciousness today to get through this thing called grief. Interesting word, grief. It means love, which makes for a mighty good joke. But I'm here to tell you, there's nothing else. Just joy. And if the big picture tends to bring you down, go crazy once your life goes. Woo!
A woman. Oh, am I on?
Yeah, there's no rush. We're not live. This is recorded.
I was going to check my lips. I have no mirror, so fuck it.
You're fine.
So,
Tell you.
All right. Now, this is where we spitball. You ready, Hesham?
All right, let's do it.
All right. I have a character that is a sapiosexual dominatrix. Are you aware of this?
Sexual dominatrix?
Not homo sapien.
Just want to make sure I heard that properly.
Sapiosexual.
Sapiosexual, okay.
Do you know what a sapio is?
Yeah, someone who is intrigued by intelligence.
Okay, yeah. Brain is the biggest sex organ is the way I put it, so yes. All right. So my character is a sapiosexual dominatrix. I also have a romantic tantric, and my goal, although it's changing because of doing this podcast, I'd rather do it on the podcast than try to do it live and in person. But if I ever did it live and in person, it would be bringing a man up on stage, and it would be in an effort to harmonize his energy with his love interest and bust his balls. That's the only way I can think to put it. You got the visual on it?
I do.
All right. So I picture him sitting, may or may not be blindfolded. I got a lot of props. I got whips. I got things that it's for the audience enjoyment, the props, but for his intents and purposes, it's going to be whatever comes out of my mouth. Got it?
Yep.
Okay, so here's a joke that I enjoy. Brian, I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. I have a joke, and I got to think, see, I haven't even thought about it. What is the square root of 4,761?
Square root of 4,761?
Yes.
Oh. You're asking the wrong guy.
I'm going to have to bury this joke alive. All right. I was particularly curious to ask you because you're in finance, and
Wait, can I take one guess before you go? Just because I have a feeling where this is going.
That's the whole point.
I do want to take a stab at it, but if you want to tell the joke first, I just want to.
No, it's just a bit more than a joke. There's no punchline. It's just one of the things. I have 100 different things. This is the thing I've chosen to obsess about talking about. I've talked about it with Brian. I'm talking about it with you. Yeah, take a stab at it.
69. It has to be.
Right.
It has to be. I mean, it's knowing you in your mind, like, and then you allude to finance and things. I'm like, all right, there has to be only one thing it can be.
Right.
Or he's lying and he just put it in the calculator.
I know.
No, I wish I knew. I wish I was smart enough to figure out how to do that on my phone. I don't know how to do that, actually. Is there a way?
Yeah. That's how I calculate it.
Okay, you find something new out today.
All right. So and I'm not gonna. I already went through it with Brian, and my mind very quickly knows it's a number between 60 and 70. Very quickly, I know that, and then I know that it has to end in a 1 or a 9 to create the 1 at the end. And Brian was like, yeah, no, that doesn't happen for him. And it obviously doesn't
No, it doesn't happen for me. You got a rainmaker brain. That's all I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I've never been called that. I've referred to myself as a rainmaker, but how do you mean that? Because I've never heard you use that term. What do you mean by that?
Like, I don't know. It's not like I'm trying to use what's that
Oh,
term?
rain.
I think
You
it's
mean like
rainmaker.
Rain Man? Rain Man?
Rain Man. Thank you. Sorry, I used the wrong thing.
No, I
But yeah, it's
have
Rain
a Rain
Man.
Man, Rainmaker. I'm both. Yeah, I'm starting to, and that was the whole point of doing this, is the degree to which, because there's an insult component to being a sapiosexual dominatrix. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to decide like where to go. And then by the way, that is just one very small thing, which was going to lead me to my next thing to ask you is if my target population for sapiosexual anything are successful men, and success can mean a multitude of things that just don't mean money. What are some topics that you think would be of interest beyond numerical science, spirituality? Anything come to mind? I'm putting you on the spot.
That is a hard question. I don't know. Politics always comes to mind for me. I always view that as something that I gauge from a mental understanding, seeing if I relate to somebody. So that's something that always holds value to me. Trying to think from a sapiosexual standpoint, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I didn't want to tell you I was going to talk about this stuff because I
would have came prepared.
You know what? Good fucking point. That probably would have gone over a lot better. Well,
I would have came prepared to talk about it. I wasn't ready for this one. This one threw me off.
Well,
it's not a bad thing.
That's how. What'd you say?
It's not a bad thing.
Well,
it just threw me off.
It's something that here's a question that's realistic. I was thinking, man, because I think my brain is either going 900 miles an hour or the opposite, and I'm in peace and solitude, and I can shut my mind off. It's just when I choose to go down these rabbit holes, it's fun for me. It's I'm my own own entertainment. But I was thinking, if I never get the chance to do what I'm trying to do on a podcast with this, I would set up a sapiosexual texting service. And
That's funny.
And I had one. It was, and I don't know if I ever told you about it. I had one a texting experience with. I'm hearing my own voice in my head. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. He's aware. I'm hearing my voice replay in my head, which started to freak me out for about 12 seconds. But
oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was interesting timing. I was talking about it and then it happened. But yeah, I was like, what do you think a man would pay for that? For one text a day, monthly fee. One text exchange.
It depends on the guy and the kink on that one.
It's not supposed to be kinky.
Then explain why I would pay for it, because that's where I'm having a hard time putting my mind there, because I'm taking it from a different viewpoint, which might not necessarily be right, but
yeah, I think what I need to do, which would explain it a lot better, because I think, I'm autistic, and I very often don't explain or can't explain where my mind's at. So I think if I go back to the texting experience I had that I'm embarrassed about, but it's great. I did something a little left of center with somebody, and I knew what I was doing, but it was so tantalizing. It didn't last very long. Let me say that. But it was just a tantalizing experience of, it wasn't about kink. It wasn't. But we were challenging one another's minds. And that would probably, I think it's too hard to just throw out there, you know, and this, I don't remember, it was a while ago, but, you know, there was a lot of math. I mean, math's very sexy. Everything is about numbers to me. Pictures, patterns, and numbers. So there was math. There was ball busting over. Oh God. Here's an example, and it comes from Cocksuck. Cocksuck was asked when he was a child, by a neuropsychologist. The neuropsychologist came to me and said, "Why would your son say he could drink 50 glasses of milk?" You with me?
Yeah, a little interesting.
And I said, "I don't know. Ask him." So,
I'm very intrigued now to hear his response.
so Cocksuck was asked in front of me, why did you, I think he selected true. He used to have a challenging time with true, false, and inference. You're with me? So Cocksuck said, "How big's the glass?" Brian just laughed. Don't laugh if you don't think it's funny. I roared.
No, I do. I was chuckling over here. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, because
I know Cocksuck, and I know that's something he would definitely say. No question about it. I could definitely see it, and I didn't know him as a kid, but I know him as an adult, and yeah, I could definitely still see him say that.
Yeah. I mean, and that in an autistic, well, if we can make it true, you know what I mean? It's one of the reasons I think we get pegged with being so literal, which, I mean, yeah, whatever. But, you know, we also get pegged with being gullible. And I'm like, nah, we just don't expect people to lie. I don't know if you've ever heard me say that. Because if you want
No, I haven't.
Because if you want to sell me the Brooklyn Bridge, you can. But for the most part, I mean, I've learned, I mean, that's one of the ways I know I'm on the spectrum. So, yeah, so, and I don't want to make light of, you know, the sapiosexual experience I had mentally was just something I had never had before. So it was really interesting to me. The only place I had experienced it, and I don't mean to make it sexual, certainly where my son's concerned, but like I learned being around those kinds of minds, and the ADHD mind, by the way, which is probably my favorite.
ADHD mind's a superpower, in my opinion. I have ADHD, and I love it. Hate it, but love it. It's like one of those weird things. Just because like you feel like you can do so many things at once, it gives you multitasking, but like at the same time, I'll be having a conversation, random song will play on the TV, and then you'll find me dancing mid-conversation. So, yeah, it's a superpower and a curse at the same time.
It's evolution. It's evolution. It's evolution. I mean, I think, and I'm not saying it's not tough for men, but I think it's particularly tough for women. Because you may look at it as an ability to multitask. Women who have ADHD, and I'm not trying to say all women, but, you know, have a, you know, we're expected to be able to multitask. And
that's fair.
And women, you know, can't. I often, one of my jokes about being divorced is I didn't know I was going to have to, you know, remember somebody else's schedule and make appointments. And it was like, you know, he used to ask me questions and I looked right at my vagina and I'd say, "Ask my vagina." I don't fucking know. Like, it's, it was those expectations. You never remember that when you get married. Okay.
Oh yeah, trust me, I'm learning it as I'm engaged right now.
I was going to mention it.
Yeah,
and you're engaged. Go ahead.
It's not easy. I was about to say it's not easy. You learn as you go. Is what I'm coming to find out.
Do you? I didn't learn.
I'm trying at
I
least.
didn't learn.
I don't.
I
I wouldn't
didn't.
say I'm 100% learning, but I'm trying.
I've learned more from divorce than I learned being married. But that had a lot to do with the partnership. No doubt, no doubt. And I wish you really well with it. And plus, you're at a great age. I was way too young. You've. I see, especially with one of my sons. Really, really. I mean, when you know yourself, it's easier to pick a life partner.
Oh, 100%.
I was. I got derailed. Okay.
It happens.
And it's nice.
It's a learning experience, as you mentioned.
Yeah, let's call it that. It's. You ever hear me tell the joke about red flags, blowjobs, red flags?
No, but I definitely want to hear it now if we have time.
I put it on a whiteboard. Red flags, blowjobs, red flags, and I taught my sons that you see the red flags, the blowjobs come. That can be 20 minutes or 20 years and 2 kids, and then the red flags come back. They always come back. So that's.
Oh yeah.
I was always big on giving them very powerful analogies, sexual analogies with life lessons. I figured, there were men that would stick. That's very sapiosexual. There's a sapiosexual joke. See?
We brought it back full circle.
Yeah, and we put sex and kink and, call it a day. I also just wanted to mention, because I thought it was very sweet the way you described your fiance, your background's from Palestine. She's Egyptian. And
yeah.
I am not a history buff. I am not a geography buff, but I know the country's border. So
yes.
You had said, you compared it to an American one being from the north and one being from the south.
Yeah.
Dialects different, food's different, but that makes for a very nice relationship, I would imagine, right? Because of that
morally,
commonality.
Nothing's different morally. Similar morals, same language, everything's in that light is the same. To your point yesterday when we talked, I did compare it to being born in the Northeast versus marrying someone who's born in the Southeast or deep South or even out West. There's going to be slight differences, like in the way you do things, the way you think about things, but overall, it's as an American, you still think about it as an American. You still speak English. Granted, somebody speaks like, "Hey, y'all," and somebody's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" It's still the same language, just slight variations. Food, yeah, that's the one thing that's still taking me a little bit to get used to because her food's a little bit different than mine. But for the most part, there's a lot of common dishes similar to being in America. Like if you're from the Northeast, you have specific dishes you eat. If you're from the South, on Thanksgiving, you have collard greens versus I don't know many people in the Northeast that eat collard greens. So it just differs, But I mean, in the end, it's all, to your point, very similar. It's like being just born in a different state within the same country.
Yeah, I didn't think of it yesterday, but I'm thinking of it now. And I was very naive because I married someone raised in the South, and it was definitely it was an issue where gender was concerned, and I didn't see that one coming.
That I can see. Yeah, I can see how that could come as a problem.
So maybe is it more like somebody's from Brooklyn and somebody's from Queens?
That's a better comparison in this light, just because I mean, in the U.S., yeah, you're right. There are a little bit more cultural differences based off the region you grew up in or were born in.
Yeah,
In
nothing.
the Middle East, it's very similar from country to country. Only difference is like really it's just the food and maybe dialect, and the way you dance is slightly different. That's it.
Gotcha. Do you dance?
I try. I'm not good at it.
Huh.
But I'll always have a good time with it. I'll say that much.
I love to dance. I've known very few men who like to dance.
Yeah, I like to dance. I'm not the best dancer, and I get embarrassed by my own self when I dance. So that's why I'm saying I'll try and I'll have fun with it, but it's not necessarily the best dancing you'll ever see. I'll just disclose that ahead of time.
I have an ex that shall remain nameless that thought he could dance, who looked ridiculous dancing. And I'd still pay money just for just
And I'm sure he thought he was the best thing on the floor
he
dancing.
thought it was the best thing in everything. But yeah, the dancing was just one of those ways that oh boy, that was there's a blast from the past. All right, well, my sapiosexual dominatrix continues to plague me as far as I guess I have to be more concrete about bringing that left brain a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When you first brought that up, I still am to some degree convinced that it was a sexual joke about sapio dominatrix. Not gonna lie. Still think a little bit of it could be a sexual like business plan. Don't know. There's kinks out there. People have them.
Hey,
Just saying.
it's my kink.
I'm not arguing that. If you want to find a way to make it profitable, hey, I'm here. We can form an app. We can talk about it.
Oh God, see, there you go. That enter the left hemisphere. I don't think of it like that, but you're right. It would make a very funny app.
And I'm sure you'd find a lot of people that would actually pay for it, believe it or not.
I think so. That's why when I love talking about it, but it's just fallen flat because, hey, I spend a lot of time alone. You know what I mean? But one of my clients was telling me that he was golfing and he was talking about me on the golf course, and it blew his friend's mind what the client and I talk about. And I'm like, really? And I was like, it was just astonishing to me because I don't think about being as different as I am. And then I'll have a conversation like this with somebody I think, I saw this, I didn't envision where this conversation was going, but I thought it would go differently. In my mind, I saw us ripping and coming up with some things, but no, I mean, that's you toppled how I've ever thought about it. I mean, it would be a really, because that takes me out of having to personally interact, which of course, if I don't have to personally interact, then I don't have an issue going kinky.
Fair.
It's just my words and it's not my person. Who gives a shit?
No, exactly. And I know you personally, Joanne. Yeah, there's a difference between your comedic self and your personal self. I'll say that.
And that's really hard with men.
Yeah, a lot of people think like I love comedy. There's a comedian that I love. His name is Shane Gillis. People think, and he just hosted the ESPYs, and people think that
Brian's shaking his head.
His comedy is his personality, and unfortunately, to your point, Joanne, a lot of men, that is the truth, though. They think that when they put this persona on for comedy as a comedian, that they have to live that persona in their day-to-day. And you and I know that there's a fine line between comedy and personal life, as we just talked about. You do a very good example of separating the two, or knowing when to separate the two, should I say.
Well, and I think, not to beat a dead horse, that's why I work well in finance, because I get to have my personality and humor without. I mean, there's been plenty of people and men who have taken me the wrong way, but by the same token, there've been plenty of men that I can just have fun with. I remember at Shearson down in South Florida, everybody was warned about sexual harassment. It was the early 90s. And the guys were like, warn Seki, warn Seki, warn Seki. And the branch manager was like, I've heard it 8 times today. And I said,
What's going on?
No, he would just take me in his office and we'd shut the door and tell dirty jokes. It just was not.
That's funny that he switched from, all right, what's going on, to, all right, let's go talk dirty jokes in my office. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and because I did not, I just didn't relate sexual humor to sex as we discussed men do. And I think, unfortunately, female comedians, when they talk about their vagina, their pussy, whatever, I prefer to use the word yanni. Because there's
yanni?
Yeah. You familiar with the word yanni? It's Hindu.
No. First time I hear it.
Well, it's I respect my yanni. So therefore that's what I call it. But I think, unfortunately, the point I was trying to make, when women talk about those parts of their body, they welcome the attention that I can't stand. And that's because I'm not serious. If I'm serious, I'm not joking with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what you know about me. And I don't think you wouldn't call me a flirt, right?
No.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate that men think, older men, not your generation, thank God, look at it as flirting. Which goes back to one of my jokes that I know more about the male prostate from having male clients than it's astonishing what I know because of what we end up talking about. Not that I want to educate my audience on the male prostate, but
Are we sure it's not from other experience? It's not from just not talking? Sorry, I'm trying to make a joke.
I know.
Poor joke.
I know. We're trying here. All right, so who was the comedian you mentioned? I'm not familiar.
Shane Gillis. He is a very crude comedian, to say the least. You either love him or you hate him, is the way I've seen a lot of people describe him. He's very polarizing because he'll make jokes that are very a little bit much. Like, for example, one joke he made, he was talking about his Uncle Danny. So his Uncle Danny has Down syndrome.
Oh, okay. I think I know who it is, but keep going.
And he was talking to his Uncle Danny. They were at dinner. He does a great job doing this skit, by the way. When he tells this joke, he really does a good job with all the facial expressions, everything. Like, so he starts it off just by talking about, people always ask me when they find out I have somebody with Down syndrome in my family, because he even admits, he goes, some people might think I might have Down syndrome.
Yeah, I know who it is. I know.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And then he's like talking about the juice box, or he's talking about like Capri Sun. He's like, people with Down syndrome are the only people I know that are having fun on just Capri Suns instead of fucking Adderall and blah blah blah. Then he alludes to the dinner. He's at dinner and he's like talking about his uncle. His Uncle Danny's over there, and he loves to make grilled cheeses at night. And his dad gets fucking pissed off at him because he's always making grilled cheese at night. And he's like, basically, there's no grilled cheese on the menu. Uncle Danny pulls out a fucking grilled cheese and just starts eating it, apparently. And his uncle has a conversation with his dad. His dad goes, "You better not be making those fucking grilled cheese at night." He goes, "I'm not making them at night, Dad." And then he'll stare right back at Shane Gillis, the comedian, and go, "I'm making them at night." And he just does such a good job, like, with emulating it. like I get why, because I mean he said that he does have people in his family that have Down syndrome. So when you're around people who are of certain mental disabilities or so on, you do understand their mannerisms, things like that, a little bit better than
Yeah.
most.
Yeah.
So I do understand it, but I also understand why people find it very crude, because he makes jokes that are just out there. Like during the ESPYs last Wednesday, he told a joke. He panned to his friend's wife, and he was like, "Give it up to blah blah blah. She was in the NBA." I can hear Brian laughing in the background. He knows the joke.
Mhm. Yeah.
Give it up to blah blah blah. She plays in the NBA, so on and so forth. Everybody starts clapping. And then he's like, "See, this is how I know none of you fuckers watch the WNBA, because she doesn't even play there. That's just my friend Matt's wife. So jokes on all of you fuckers. Like you're playing yourself." And he just says some shit that should not, like, that can definitely offend some people. I'll say that way, in an easier manner. He can definitely offend some people, but he does a damn good job telling the jokes. I will say that. Brian, I can't see you, but I'm sure you may or may not agree with me. You're on one or the other side. You're either
Oh,
you like him or you don't.
One of the very first things I told Joanne when I met her is that I personally am one of the people who find everything funny. There's humor in just about everything,
Yep.
as long as you allow yourself to see it
To see it.
and you can separate yourself from it. We saw Shane Gillis live, all of us in our office here. We went and saw him on the Burt Kreischer comedy tour that they did. So
Dude, he's freaking hilarious.
he's very funny. Very funny.
Him, Andrew Scholes is another person that's in that same boat where they're like just comedically funny but very polarizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch some of the younger comedians. Although he doesn't sound like a kid.
He's like 38, 40, but he's freaking hilarious. And then he just had a show come out on Netflix called Tires. It's kind of stupid, to be honest with you, but it is something that I watched and I couldn't stop laughing my ass off. Like as the story went on, the season went on, the story got better. I got to give it credit where it's due. But yeah, Joanne, I would definitely check him out. I would check out another guy. I'll send you both the links to him and the other guy. I was referencing Andrew Scholes. I think both of them are just hilarious.
I love making trauma funny, and I have started to like Brian was saying. I have started. Because you can make something funny doesn't mean it's funny to me, but you can make anything funny. That's my
100%.
That's my little slight difference. Thank you for listening and supporting Natural Born Redhead. If you follow the bouncing balls, please like and subscribe. If you know someone interested in sparing others grief and inciting joy, message me on Facebook or reach out via my website, Natural Born Redhead. J-Ma.